What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So Nintendo has slowly but surely been adding more and more Nintendo 64 games into that Switch Online expansion pack, and now it looks like one of the better multiplayer titles will be heading into the service this week. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a game that was delayed indefinitely by Nintendo earlier this year, kind of disappeared. Now it looks like we're starting to see a bit of movement here in the background for it, and we're also going to be talking about Sony's plans for PC and how they really seem to be accelerating now, with things starting to take shape after a recent leak from a data mine that's basically confirming what we've been talking about here for a while. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with new games heading into Game Pass to close out the month of August. We can see this over on news.xbox.com. Starting at the top, we have Coffee Talk, that's already available, cloud, console, and PC. Moving to August 23rd, Midnight Fight Express, that's cloud, console, and PC, is releasing into Game Pass, a day one release for August 23rd. Moving up to August 25th, there's XIII, that's on PC. Then we have Opus, Echo of Star Song. Moving to August 30th, we have Commandos 3 HD Remaster, cloud, console, and PC. And then we have Immortality, cloud, PC, Xbox Series X and S. And then Immortals Phoenix Rising, that's cloud, console, and PC. And to close things out for the month, we have Tiny Kin, console, and PC. I would say the two that I'd be looking at would be Immortals Phoenix Rising. I enjoyed that game quite a bit. It's a bit of a smaller Assassin's Creed style game that leans into mythology and doesn't really take itself too seriously. And then I am a little interested in Midnight Fight Express, so I'll be checking that one out as well. Now, they do have several games that are leaving, and that's kind of one of the things, the drawbacks with these subscription services. Leaving August 31st, Elite Dangerous, Hades, Myst, NBA 2K22, Signs of Solnier. We have Spiritfarer, 12 Minutes, 2 Point Hospital, What Remains of Edith Finch, and then World War Z. So quite a bit of stuff leaving there, so make sure you check those out if you haven't just yet. But otherwise, some decent games getting thrown in there to close out the month of August. Also, we did get a new gameplay trailer for 13, and if you remember, this is a whole thing when it came out. The visuals were not good. There are a lot of the fans of the original one from like the GameCube and the PS2 looked at it and said, why does this look like Fortnite now? Well, they went back to the drawing board. They did an entire patch to overhaul everything, and you can see some of the trailer here. It looks a lot better. I will give them credit. They definitely spent some time trying to work this out. Looks more like the comic book aesthetic that they had originally been going for with the release back in the day. This is still coming out next month, and it's coming out for the Switch as well. We'll see how this turns out. I will revisit this game, and I'll check out the Switch version as well, because I was a big fan of 13 when it released back in the day. So I was just very curious to see what they'd be able to do to improve the game, and at least from what they showed here in the trailer, it's at least better than what we had before, but we'll see when it launches here in a couple of weeks. Oh, and surprise, surprise, it looks like we have another game delay. We can see this over on Twitter. This is for Evil West, and we were coming up on a month away from its release. That was going to be September 20th. Looks like they're pushing it a couple of months here, but it will stay in 2022. They say, we are working our very best to achieve our vision of Evil West and to meet your expectations. Evil West releases on 5 platforms, including multiple generations of consoles. Giving our game more polish is crucial to provide our players with not only good, but also lasting memories. That's something that we've always pursued. To ensure that the game reaches its full potential, we have made the decision to delay the worldwide launch of Evil West to November 22nd, 2022. So only 2 months there, and really, I'd rather the game come out in a good state overall rather than get it be broken and then wait 2 months for them to fix it. The only thing is, September probably would have been a good month to release this game, whereas going into November, especially on the 22nd, there'd be some pretty big titles kind of hanging out around it. But the game has, I think, looked pretty interesting in the different trailers they've shown, so I'm still looking forward to this one. We'll just have to wait a bit longer to get it. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo Switch Online, as we have a new Nintendo 64 game to look forward to, this entering the service on the 19th, and we can can see it here. It's Wave Race 64. They say take to the waves in Wave Race 64, originally released for the Nintendo 64 system. I think that was in like 96. That was earlier on with when the 64 came out. Coming to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack members on August 19th, so just a couple of days here. A good way to close out the week, to be able to play some Wave Race 64 on the Switch. This is a really fun multiplayer game. You can still play it by yourself, obviously, but this is a game that was pretty unique when it came out. I remember the thing, it's going to sound funny now, but the thing that was really impressive at that time was like the water. Like, it was really cool to see that on a console. I mean, we were still kind of blown away by the idea of 3D and what the Nintendo 64 was able to achieve, and then it's like, whoa, the water actually looks real. Like, it's not just basically a texture that we're kind of skating on. It looks like it's reacting with everything I'm doing. So it's an interesting game. The controls will take a little bit of getting used to, but it is a blast to play with some friends, and in this case, to play online. So this is a great addition. Absolutely recommend checking this one out. Now, we also have the Sega Genesis section. Keep that in mind because we can see this here. Maintenance was run for it. Maintenance for Sega Genesis, Nintendo Switch Online, has actually concluded now. This just happened yesterday morning. And whenever we see the maintenance happen, typically we can expect new games to enter the service anytime, really. And remember, keep in mind, Nintendo likes to just drop Sega Genesis games in now. They do it with Super Nintendo and Nintendo. I mean, the big focus appears to be Nintendo 64. Makes sense. That's one of the big things they're pushing, along with downloadable content, to make it feel like it's worth the $50 per year. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Sega Genesis games drop around the time that Wave Race goes into the online service to close out the week. And you know what I'd be really curious to see, because it looks like the Genesis Mini 2 that is coming out here in 2 months now or so, that's going to have the Sega CD games on there. I almost wonder if that's something that's kind of being explored at some point for the Switch Online service. We talk about other systems, but what about other attachments, right? Like, could we get Sega CD games that go into Nintendo Switch Online at some point, since a lot of the emulation work is already being done? I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe that's something they reveal in like a year or two, just kind of add on to the expansion pack with the Genesis. Also, with maintenance in mind, let's talk about that game that was delayed out of earlier this year, and it was an indefinite delay. Nintendo hasn't really said much about it since then, and that's Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, because it looks like there is some movement going on in the background here. We can see this post up over on Twitter, once again from NinStatusBot, saying maintenance has been scheduled for Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp on August 16th. So that was yesterday morning. It did conclude successfully, it appears. So the maintenance was completed, and now everyone's kind of looking at this thinking, wait a minute, they did maintenance on it. Does that mean it's being prepared for a shadow drop of some kind? Are they going to re-announce it with a new release date? The thing with this is Nintendo kind of worked themselves in a weird situation, because obviously they delayed it with everything that was going on there in the world with Russia, Ukraine, and they didn't want to seem insensitive putting out a game that, I mean, the first nation that essentially invades is modeled after Russia. So that was like, ooh, that's gonna be really hard to market right now. So let's just delay it indefinitely. And for Nintendo, it wasn't like a massive release or anything. I don't think Advance Wars is gonna go out there and sell like 10 million copies or something. But now they're kind of in this weird situation where stuff's still going on. So when do they release this game? I figured December. You kind of push it out there before the end of the year and then go into 2023 with, I'm sure, a direct and a new like lineup of games to release for the year. But who knows, maybe during a direct, like in the fall or September, they just go, hey, it's out now, it's available. We already did marketing and talked about this before, so you already know it's coming. Here you go, you can go pick it up today. That might be the kind of the best course of action, but the fact that something is happening here with maintenance does at least give people hope that we're getting closer to a release for Advance Wars, because I enjoyed Advance Wars back in the day on like the Game Boy Advance and all this. So I would like to see this Reboot Camp release so we get a chance to play it. Next up, let's talk about PlayStation and their plans for PC. we know they are accelerating towards the open platform that is the personal computer, and gaming has continued to grow on PC. But Sony kind of just slowly started moving stuff over, and then they just went like full speed ahead. Like we have Spider-Man there, God of War, Horizon, and something tells me they will be continuing to add more and more titles here with like Uncharted showing up, Last of Us, and I have a feeling next year, probably early on, we'll even see Gran Turismo show up there. But I've talked about the idea of a PC launcher for quite a while now, and well, take a look at this. This is posted up by VGC. Now, reference to a PlayStation PC launcher has been discovered in Spider-Man PC, which Spider-Man is the game that just keeps on giving right now. They say references to a PlayStation PC launcher has been found within the files of Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, which launched on PC last week, suggesting that such a platform could be in Sony's future plans. VGC has verified the files and seen the reference to the PlayStation PC launcher. So we've heard references to this, but not like explicitly so, like, oh yeah, here's a PC launcher for PlayStation, because they have been hiring for positions to essentially build the platform for a while now. It's pretty clear that Sony is investing in PC gaming as one of their major branches for the PlayStation arm, right? So the idea of having a launcher and being able to tie your PlayStation Network account in makes a lot of sense for them, considering selling on Steam, they have to give up 30% of the revenue, and based on the amount of revenue they're projecting for PC from some of these different titles, that ends up being a lot of money. We're talking like hundreds of millions of dollars they'll just kind of be handing to Steam. Now, Steam is a very popular platform. It brings a lot of traffic, but in Sony's mind, they could potentially use just the overall strength of their intellectual properties to pull people over to their own launcher. Epic Games basically had to go out and say, okay, well, we have Fortnite, but let's also just give games away. On Sony's side, well, they have trophies, they're doing these digital collectibles coming up, and they put out games that are to be exclusive to the launcher, most likely like a Spider-Man or a God of War or a Last of Us, into the future. I think they would still put games on Steam, but I do believe eventually, like 10 or 20 years down the line, that their main goal would be, okay, we want a launcher that we have full control over this, and we don't have to give up royalties for games that we're creating that cost us, a boatload of money. And we'll get to a point where these games will just always cost hundreds of millions of dollars and take 6 to 7 years to create. Do you still want to give up 30% of the revenue then to Steam for games you're selling on what is an open platform? And that's kind of where we'll probably be in the future, where you'll have multiple launchers on your desktop. I know that's kind of a touchy subject with PC gamers, but it's better than having to buy another system to play these games, right? Instead, you have to click download for a file that's like 100-something megabytes. Well, I guess you have to split up your library and your friends list and all that. It gets kind of messy there, right? But hey, it's the price you pay for an open platform. Next up, let's talk about the studio for PlayStation that has the best-selling PS5 game so far, and that's Team Asobi. Yeah, Astro's Playroom. Well, it comes with every PS5, so it's a 1-to-1 attach rate for this one. Hey, we count Wii Sports overall for sales for the Wii, so I guess we'll count Astro's Playroom too. We can see this, though, posted up over on Twitter. Nabelian pointed this one out, but it is an interview with Team Asobi from Games Industry, and there were some interesting things that they went over here. The studio's at 60 employees, expected to be at 100 employees in the future. The next game is already in production, and it's their biggest game to date. And they're experimenting with hardware, which will continue to be a focus. And they specifically talked about having access to the DualSense before it looked anything like the DualSense. It was this like weird piece of plastic with wires all over the place, but it let them experiment with things like the adaptive triggers, the rumble and all of this, and the gyro, the touchpad, all these different things that really came together to make Astro's Playroom so interesting. Like, that really was a great way to introduce the DualSense without just feeling like a tutorial for introducing the DualSense. It was such a cool game. And if you bought a PS5 and you still have not played Astro's Playroom, you have to try it. You're absolutely missing out. And in fact, R&D seemed to be a pretty serious focus by Team Asobi for that interview, where it has me a little concerned, because my biggest thing for Astro at this point, I think Astro could be a really good mascot for the PlayStation brand to just kind of put up for marketing. And so obviously Astro can appeal to a wide audience, younger gamers, older gamers, and Astro with the PS4 was tied to the VR headset, right, with Astrobot, which is a very good VR game. The only problem is you need the VR headset, and the audience for that just still has not grown to where Astro would become a widely known character that could potentially go on to sell 10, 20, even 30 million copies. I mean, at this time, everyone who's bought a PS5 has seen Astro. It's like right there on the dashboard when you turn it on. I think it's a good time to make a big push towards a big budget 3D platforming game that kind of focuses around it, kind of like their Mario Odyssey, right? Something in that vein for Astro. I think it would work really well. I think it could sell really well. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see out of Team Asobi, but I wouldn't be shocked if they showed up and said, hey, here's the next Astrobot game. It's for PlayStation VR 2, and I'm sure they will take advantage of the PS VR 2 fully. So I'm definitely curious what Team Asobi has coming up here. The fact they're expanding so much and they have so much to do makes me very hopeful for what they are going to be showing. I don't know, maybe in the PlayStation Showcase coming up, but we'll see. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about that Dragon Ball Fortnite collaboration, because I'll admit, I'm curious about Fortnite again because of this Dragon Ball collaboration. I'm such a big fan of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, all of this, right? And they went a bit further than I thought they would here. I figured they'd push out some skins and that'd be kind of be it. No, there's a lot happening, but they put out this trailer here and you can see some of the characters over on their Epic Games website. They do describe some of this with 4 powerful and iconic Dragon Ball Super characters, that being Son Goku, Vegeta, Bulma, and Beerus. They say they have arrived in the game along with a bunch of events and what looks like, I guess, like a little battle pass event going on there, and they even have a large like theater screen where they're going to be playing different episodes from the Dragon Ball Super anime. They have episode 9, 10, 11, 13, 81, and 98 that'll play with different codes that you input on this island that they set up. There's also an event where you try to find the different Dragon Balls, and I noticed that they have different forms for these skins. So you have like Master Ultra Instinct Goku, of course, Super Saiyan Goku, Base Goku. You also have Vegeta going all the way up to Super Saiyan Blue. There's a lot happening here, a lot of stuff to unlock, which is pretty cool. They have the Flying Nimbus in there, and yes, the Kamehameha Wave, which I already saw some people post up some Battle Royale wins with the Kamehameha Wave taking out the last person. But like I said, I was a little surprised to see how far they went with this, and go figure, they're probably making a ton of money from it, as it looked like the servers went down for a little while with Fortnite, and I see a lot of people talking about this collaboration online. So I'll check it out. You have that, and you have no build mode. Seems like something I could at least have some fun with for a bit. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. We ask, these are the highest rated new games for 2022 as of today. Which one would you give Game of the Year? Well, it looks like Elden Ring is just way ahead, 57%, but second place is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 at 20%. Then we have TMNT Shredder's Revenge at 12%. Horizon Forbidden West at 9%. I'm a little surprised at that, but man, Elden Ring really overshadowed Horizon, which I think was an awesome game. I mean, I spent about 50 hours in it and I had a blast. Neon White, though, down at 2%, which, by the way, Neon White, I think is the second best rated game of the year, but it just doesn't have the marketing pull that Elden Ring or Xenoblade or anything like that has. I wanted to check in here as we are getting into the fourth quarter and the fall holiday season. We're going to see more and more games come out. So I think when we get into like that third week of November, I'll run this poll again. I'm going to try to get it out there before we see the Game Awards official nominees go live, and because we'll vote on those in a poll as well, just to see kind of where we are with the top rated games and if any of this changes. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Tyler saying, despite what they mentioned for the Disney Gaming Showcase, the 2 games people really want to see there are Kingdom Hearts 4 and Spider-Man 2. Expecting more out of the latter since it's been over a year when it was announced. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4, I kind of think that's something that Square is going to handle. But Spider-Man 2 is an interesting one because that's something I figured Sony would want to handle. However, it's hard to turn down the overall exposure that you get for a game and the PlayStation brand at something like D23. There's gonna be a lot of coverage for this event, right? And there's gonna be a lot of mainstream coverage. You have Spider-Man, who's a very well-known character with the newest title, and you got the PlayStation logo up there with it. That's That is hard to turn down. It seems like there's going to be a lot of stuff, though, at this D23 event. I mean, it's an event that Disney consistently runs, obviously, but the fact they're having an entire gaming-centric showcase makes me wonder what kind of surprises they have. One that's kind of flown under the radar is Indiana Jones. Remember, that was announced a while ago, actually. It was right at the beginning of 2021. So we're already a year and a half out from that, coming up on almost 2 years since that was announced. Maybe that shows up with Machine Games. Could be a nice surprise there, and at least something for Microsoft to kind of push along. But I'm just curious what exactly is going to be at this gaming showcase. Would we see Spider-Man 2? Would we see Indiana Jones? Could Amy Hennig be working on a Fantastic Four game? A lot of possibilities. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack getting wave raised? Are you excited to check that one out again? And Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. When do you think Nintendo is going to launch that thing? And then Sony and the PlayStation PC launcher. Do you think this is something they're lining up for release next year? And do you think they're going to try to just release games into it specifically to make you download the launcher because you can't find them anywhere else? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.